Sometimes life brings us challenges, and when attorney Ron Johnson goes to work every day, he's ready to fight for you. Ron Johnson represents clients in personal injury and wrongful death cases, provides mediation in matters such as wills and real estate transactions, and assists with Social Security disability. His goal is to serve his community and help his clients navigate complicated systems to access the benefits and fair treatment they are entitled to by law. He'll make sure you understand your rights and responsibilities and won't leave you behind to fend for yourself. Ron Johnson's office is local, and he is accessible to work with you personally, whether face-to-face, by phone, or video conference. Let his 53 years of experience help guide you to peace of mind and the best possible outcome in your case. Your first consultation is free. Charges for Social Security disability services are subject to approval by the Social Security Administration. Call the Law Office of Ron B. Johnson at 972-938-7163 or visit www.lawofficeofronjohnson.com to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, we're back in Becky's kitchen today, and it's so wonderful. I love to be in the kitchen at this time of the year because you go to the store and there's blueberries and peaches and strawberries and tomatoes, and it's just fun working with those foods. So last week I went and I bought all that stuff, including blueberries, and I didn't know what I was going to do with them, but they were in the fridge. But in the meantime, my husband and I went on a little journey on Memorial Day. We went to Bristol, Texas to get sushi, yes, at a gas station. And it was everybody goes there. We just found out about it. But while we were there, we heard about a barbecue place in Bardwell. They said it was the best ever. So we left Bristol and we go to Bardwell, and it's this little tiny barbecue place. But there's a guy out front, and he has all these cases of blueberries. But I saw the sign, it said blueberries, but I didn't even pay attention because I already bought blueberries. And then he came up and he said, "Hey, they're free." And I went, "They're free?" Yes, he bought too many for a catering job, and he didn't want them to go bad, so he was giving them away. And I said, "Well, okay, I'll take one." And he picked up the whole case, like 24 boxes of blueberries for me. And I said, "Oh, no, I can't do that." Anyway, I ended up with 2 more things of blueberries. So that night I said, "Well, what am I going to do with all these blueberries?" And so I looked through recipe books, and I thought, blueberry peach crumble, that sounds good. So that's what we're making today. And it's very simple. And also I found when I was looking through all this, there's crisps and there's crumbles and there's cobblers and there's pies, and they're basically all have the same stuff in them. But a crumble has a crust on the bottom and the top, so you can actually cut them into bars, take them like to potlucks and things. Crisps, you scoop it out with a spoon, you eat it in a bowl with ice cream or whatever. So I picked the bars because I thought that would be easier to take, to chips, anything. So it's easy, and we're going to start with making the crust. And I'm using my food processor. It's like you make biscuits. So you're going to mix the butter into the flour and everything. And you can do it with 2 forks, and you can do it with a pastry cutter. And I did it that way for a long time. And then I saw that Martha Stewart always does it in the food processor. If Martha Stewart does it, then it's okay. So 3 cups of flour, just regular flour. 1 cup of regular sugar. And a teaspoon of baking powder. It doesn't rise or anything, but I guess it has to have a little bit of leavening, so make sure. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. All right, now I'm just going to put this through a little pulse just to get it mixed up in there. Okay. Now you put in 1 cup of cold butter, and you cube it, because if you don't, it'll just be a big mess. And we put it in there, and we're going to pulse it until it gets kind of mealy. And I recommend using real butter instead of oleo. I'm just going to pulse it I'm going to check it in a little bit and just see how it's going. You want to make sure it gets all the way through. Let's check it. It's starting to look mealy. Just want to make sure it's getting all the way down to the end there. The kind of big chunks of butter in there, I'm going to probably pulse it just a few more times. Okay, now the last thing you put in for the crust is 1 egg, and I just beat it just a little bit. We're just going to pour that right in there. And now we're going to do it until it gets kind of clumpy. Start kind of making a dough. Okay, let's see. So that's why it's called a crumble, because it's just crumbly. I think I'll give it a few more pulses and then it'll be ready. Okay. Yeah, see how it's all clumped up? That shows you it's ready. Now I'm just going to pour it into a bowl, but we're using it in 2 different parts. It's going to be the bottom and the top. It really doesn't have much flavor. It's just, I mean, butter and sugar. That's good. A mess. All right. Now before I put it in the pan, and I'm telling you, this is very important. Like, you can use parchment paper, you can use shortening if you want. This with the flour is the best. And put it on pretty heavy on the sides and the bottom. And then I'm going to put half of this in the bottom of this pan. Just guesstimate, it doesn't really matter. We're going to spread it out to make the crust. Get a little bit, okay. You have to use your hands. Just make sure that all the bottom of the pan has crumbles on it. Pat it down. And put a little bit more. Okay. I'll put that to the side for a little while, the crust to the side for a little while, and now it's time to do the fruit. I have blueberries and they're fresh, but the peaches were just like cement balls, so I bought frozen peaches, and I think that's fine for this recipe because it's just going to cook down anyway. 7 cups of peaches. I thawed them out. I kind of drained them so that it wouldn't be too soupy. So we'll start with the peaches, and then we're going to add a cup of sugar, some lemon zest, and some lemon juice. A little bit more. I love that smell. So rich. It just gives a little life to it. And I always just do it on a paper plate and then it just swish it in there. And then I don't measure the lemon juice. I'm just going to cut and squeeze a lemon. And I love this little thing. It keeps the seeds from getting down in there. Okay. Now let's mix that all up. Okay, now there's 2 more really important things that I want to put before I do anything else, and that is cinnamon. About a teaspoon of cinnamon. And nutmeg. I always buy the whole nutmeg, and you just give it a little, it's special little nutmeg grater, but you can use any kind of grater. I don't ever measure it. I just kind of put it in there like that. Make sure all the cinnamon, it's easier to mix it up when you put the cinnamon in there, you can kind of see. Okay, so there's peaches, sugar, seasoning, and now it's time to put the peaches on top of this crust. Now I think I need, whoops, I almost forgot, but I'm glad I didn't. Flour. If I didn't put this in there, it would be peach soup. So good. Put some flour in there. Some recipes call for cornstarch. You got to have something to thicken it up. That was a half a cup of flour. Okay, better. Now I'm just going to pour it in here and then I'll even it out. Make sure you get all the good stuff. Spread it all to the edges. Make sure peaches are all over. Okay. Now the next step is to cover the peaches with the blueberries. This is 2 cups of blueberries. I don't think you don't have to be exact, really. I don't think. It's nice to make sure there's blueberries distributed around. All right, now there's one other very special ingredient, and I don't mean to brag, but I have a blueberry bush out there, and today I went out to pick blueberries, and this is what I got. 1 blueberry, right in the middle. All right, now we're going to put the top on, but before we do that, we're going to add some things to it. Basically, 4 tablespoons of brown sugar, and pack it because it never hurts to have too much brown sugar. And half a cup of pecans chopped. There again, you know, if you have more than a half a cup, it's not going to make any difference. Just make it better. Now mix it all in here. And this is I'm going to sprinkle this on the top of that. And we don't have to use all of this because, you know, it depends on how thick you want your top. It gets crunchy and good, though. It does have a lot of butter in it, so. All right. I think I'll use this. Literally just sprinkle it on the top. You do want to cover all the fruit. When this is really, I mean, you can eat it for, I mean, you can have it for dessert or a snack in the morning with coffee, really good. Or midnight, pretty good anytime. Okay, now with my hands, I'm going to go on here and make sure I cover the blueberries. All right. This is ready to go into a 375 degrees oven for 45 minutes. And when it's done, you take it out and let it cool completely. And then put it in the fridge because if you have time, because a cooler one is easier to slice. You get the better looking bars. And then, you know, if you want it warm, pop it in the microwave after you put it on your little plate. So here is what they look like when they're done. The crust on the bottom, then the peaches and the blueberries and the crumb crust on the top. Really good. And of course, a saved a piece for myself. I like it because it is crunchy on the top because it's got the pecans in it and it's got the butter and the sugar and everything. And then the fruit is done and the two flavors of the fruit together. It's delicious. Very good. So, maybe you can find some free blueberries. Maybe you can pick some blueberries, a blueberry out of your bush in the backyard. Or maybe you can go to the store and get some and serve this and make it. I promise you're going to love it. And the recipe will be on our website, ellisdownhome.com. Bye-bye.